Hi, Sean here, one half of Sean and Kiara. We are the co-creators of Lucy in the Sky, a graphic novel for middle grade readers published by First Second. Our second graphic novel, Rhiannon, will be out in October of 2025. If you like the things we do, please consider supporting us by becoming a paying member of our Patreon site for $4 a month. And if you enjoy videos like this, hit the like and subscribe buttons, as it'll help us build this channel. Thank you, and enjoy the video. I'm coloring the last page that I did of the Yellow Man, which is page 11, I think. And I forgot to mute the volume of the recording. You can hear some ambient noise. Anyway, I use Photoshop to do my coloring, and I have I usually have some palettes already worked out for each comic that I do. Skin color, hair color, if a character has a consistent costume that they wear, color scheme for certain sets, rooms, apartments, whatever. And such is the case here with Chick's apartment. I have the color scheme worked out for his furniture and his room, and sort of a color palette saved so I can come back to it. The Duke 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 sound effect is from Tony Millionaire's comic strip that he used to do. Drinky the bird. Drinky the crow, rather. So really been paying a lot of attention to the color recently. I remember when I first saw the cover of the color of an actual printed copy of Lucy in the Sky. I was kind of dismayed at how bright the colors were. So there's been a drift towards toning down the colors a bit. I wanted the opportunity to draw a spit take at least once. So here, Chick is reacting to Stella's comment. He's spitting out his beer. I really wasn't able to get the spray of beer quite right. I don't know. That's something I gotta work on. I think there should be more like a cloud of at the end of it, rather than, I don't know, it looks like a flat plane of liquid rolling out of his mouth. You can see what he's spitting to. So are you still screwing the boss? Yeah, there's some adult language in here. I was just thinking about how this character of Fairy Peril has evolved. Stella Fairchild, aka Fairy Peril. And how she is, like a lot of the characters, I suppose, it's common in fiction, a conglomeration of several people that I know or I knew. And sometimes it's easy to forget about all the different ingredients that went into that character. They start to take on hopefully they take on an identity of their own, but oftentimes there's one person that you think of most that seems to dominate the inspiration behind the character. And then I forget a lot of times the diversity of inspiration that went into this one figure. I just posted the first page of another story I'm working on, East Washington, which I posted on social media as quasi-autobiographical, and of course people, especially from my hometown, when they saw it, they took it, literally, and even named one of the characters by my sister's name, and yeah, she's inspired by her, but she's not her. The characters are not us. There's some big differences. There's a lot of fiction in the story, but that's something that I've found fascinating, is blurring the line between fiction and reality, and even doing something autobiographical and intentionally mythologizing it or inserting what can only be fictional elements to it. It's still maintaining that it's biographical or autobiographical. I think of the writing of Charlie Kaufman a lot of times. Stretching these definitions of what is biography and what is fiction, what is history, what is reportage. And why they need to follow these standards or these templates that we normally think that they should follow. But all writing is writing. All writing is a creative activity. And to be confined by these boundaries doesn't really ring true when you think of it as a creative activity. And actually the creative impulse, or the artistic impulse, which I guess you could speak of synonymously sometimes as with the creative impulse, is really what this story, The Yellow Man, is all about. It's a meditation on it in many ways. trying to get hair right in the color is, I find, is kind of a pain in the ass. It's because I'm lazy. The cat is trying desperately to get outside. He's been at that door. What cat? Listening to the ambient sound of the original recording, and I'm thinking maybe I should just leave it. I kind of like the sound of my kids giggling in the background. Maybe just turn it down. I always consider, putting background music. A lot of people who make these YouTube videos have their little soundtracks in the background, and I can never think of anything that would work right. And I used to, like, if you go and look at some of the early videos I did, before I started talking over them, I would just throw on some music, some old music that I'd recorded. I used to just home record obsessively. I always had some sort of recording device set up, and I would just record. And so I have mounds of tapes. And then eventually it went to digital, and so all this material, much of which is really not worth listening to, honestly. But some of it works out as background music. I always thought about submitting some of that to NPR, their little in-between music bits that they run in between segments. Anyway, the ambient noise kind of makes the I think it makes the perfect background noise. Except every once in a while you hear my voice come in, and that could be a little confusing, I guess. Maybe I should just set up a microphone and record my kids playing for, half an hour or so, and just use that as background noise. And again, maybe not. More likelier than not, they'll start screaming at each other and get into a fight. Hey, you guys, can you stop banging against the windows, please? I don't want those windows to break. Really need to be careful. That was me just yelling at them to stop pounding on the windows. If you can't stop banging against them, then we're not going to be playing like this anymore. Okay, maybe I'll cut that part out. It's such a time-consuming thing. I considered going back to, well, I never really did color by hand, but I never found a way to truly do it on my own in a way that made sense, or that was good enough. I just recently been experimenting with a new method of maybe doing coloring by hand. I mean, there's really nothing you can't duplicate a lot of that hand done, the texture of the brush or the pencil marks or whatever, I feel compelled to keep talking and not to leave these gaps where there's just silence, but I don't know, maybe that's okay. A month or two ago, I signed up for Sam Harris's Waking Up app, and so I've been trying to do the daily meditations, like 10 minutes. And it's funny because a lot of it, most of it, in fact, is just dead silence. So I got the headphones on and I'm listening to absolutely nothing, and every once in a while he'll come in and say something. But, the idea is you're supposed to be practicing your meditation, and so there's a lot of dead air. But there's also something nice about that, and artificial, which brings me back to this idea of the purpose of art, the practice of art, which, even etymologically related to artifice. It's man-made. And our fascination with that. There was a subtitle I had for the story at one point. It was called The Intoxication of Artifice. This idea that I've been not really exploring in any kind of active way, but sort of mulling over in my mind for the last, 40 years. Shows you how long an idea can remain half-baked. I've really gone back and forth over the right color of blue for the highlights in Chick's hair. I've been trying to get it just right. What is it's such an artificial thing. It's a convention or a cliche in comics, going all the way back to Batman's costume, which, originally the blue was supposed to be blue highlights of his black costume, and then eventually it just became a blue costume. All right, that's it. See you next time.